right.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, Masters. How is everybody doing today?
Great.
Romantic day. Raining. I love raining. I am delighted this morning to have the privilege of presenting to you this gentleman that I admire a lot. I have learned a lot from him throughout all his presentations. His name is Phil. Phil is doing his 10th speech. It says right here that since he's usually out of order, he will be evaluated on speech number 5, out of order. This is his persuasion speech, and the title is Know How Much You Get. Please help me to welcome Phil Nathan.
My girlfriend.
You got that kiss in it.
You always got that kiss. Thank you, Pilar, and good morning, fellow girlfriends.
Good morning.
If I offered you $200, tax-free, no effort on your part, how many of you might accept that offer? Okay, I see a few who wouldn't, because they probably think there's some catch. And in fact, there is. The catch is you have to let me prepare your taxes. Now, if you're a private business owner and you do your own taxes, I can almost guarantee you that I will be able to save you at least several $100s. How do I feel so confident about that? Experience. Let me give you an example. I had a couple, they have 3 children, they own a home, and they each have a business. And in 2009, not unlike other people, their businesses didn't do very well. They didn't pay any estimated taxes, and when I reviewed their financials, I recognized that they probably would not have any tax to pay. But I asked them, I hope that one of your businesses is going to make some money. And you might ask, well, why did I want them to make money? Usually you try to reduce the profit in a business. And the answer, at first I've got to tell you a little bit about, how many of you know about earned income tax credit? Okay, the accountants and the financial planners. Earned income tax credit is it really should be called income distribution credit. Because what it does is if you're low income, have lots of kids, you actually get money from the government, even if you haven't paid taxes. That's why I call it income distribution. As a matter of what's interesting about it is that it was actually put in place by a Republican administration. You know, people talk about tax and spend. This was a Republican administration rule. So the point is that I looked at their situation and realized that they could, in fact, get money even though they had paid no estimated taxes. And so, with the help of a wonderful accountant who happens to be in this room, we worked on their books so that she figured out their financial statement so that, in fact, one of the businesses did have a profit, and as a result, they had almost a $3,000 tax credit that they received. That's one example. Another example, well, let me go back and say, it's fine to help you with your taxes for this year, but what am I doing for you lately? In other words, it may be far more valuable to you to look at the current year as opposed to looking back historically at the prior year. Let me give you a story about that. I had this couple come to me, they were all smiling, they were happy. I said, well, what's happening? And they told me that they had bought their first house in 2009. And it was wonderful, and their real estate agent said that they were going to get an $8,000 tax credit, a new buyer tax credit. Wonderful. I looked at their W-2s and I looked at their contract of sale, And I had some bad news for them. They didn't qualify for the $8,000. Why? Let me explain the history of that credit. It was started in 2008, and it was a $7,500 credit that was actually an interest-free loan. You had to pay it back over 15 years or whenever you sold the property. Okay. Beginning of 2009, they changed again. Now, for somebody buying their first house, they got an $8,000 credit, but there was a phase out. In other words, if you earned over $150,000, you couldn't qualify for that. It was people who earned less than $150,000. Then they changed it again. They changed it to whereas, yes, they still had for, you bought your first house, you got $8,000, but if you were a homeowner and bought another home, you could get $6,500 credit. And they changed the phase out. They raised it to $250,000. Well, as you can suspect from what I just said, my clients had an adjusted gross income of $200,000, and they bought their home in October. Honest to goodness. If they had waited till after November 8th, they would have qualified for the $8,000, waiting 1 month. And certainly, they could have protracted the escrow for another month. But in that month, they lost $8,000, which shows the importance of planning when you're making major financial decisions. Just as Steve said earlier, you know, you really have to look to people who can help you to determine what your best course of action is when it doesn't cost you anymore to save some money. Well, they didn't qualify, and that's just the way it is. And that brings me to really to explain, to show this the best, let me use a little cartoon. I hope all of you can see it, but this fellow's walking by a store and it says everything on sale today, except the whole sign says, of course we have everything on sale today, we're not going to give it away. Then the next one, he walks past in a park bench and it says wet paint, but the entire sign says it was wet paint last week. Then he goes past the bar and it says ladies' night, but the whole sign says ladies' night is sexist, so we don't price drinks based on gender. Then he goes past an escalator and it says caution, hold on to handrail, but the whole sign says caution, don't hold on to the handrail, they're really disgusting. He gets home and his wife asked him, how was your day, dear? And he says, headlines or fine print. And that's a good explanation of the tax code. So let me just say that it's important that you have somebody who understands the tax code to help you with your taxes. And remember my mantra, which is, it's not how much you get, it's how much you get to keep. Thank you.